Hey friends, Karen Baskett DIYer here. Thanks so much for stopping by for another fun Tumbler tutorial with me. Okay, you guys, you know how much I love a good wood grain, and today's tutorial is a wood grain peekaboo. I haven't done one of these in a while, so I just thought I would show you this fun design. It was for a custom order, so that's what I'm gonna be showing you today. But if you're new here, thanks so much for stopping by. If you're a regular, thanks for coming back. Be sure to like, subscribe, and comment, and let me know your thoughts down below. I love interacting with you guys and just answering questions the best that I can. I drop Tumbler tutorials every Sunday and Thursday at 6 a.m. So here is the tutorial for today. Like I said, this was a custom order. It's an ombre effect, glitter ombre underneath with wood grain on top. So just stay tuned, follow along, and I'll walk you through the steps and show you how I created this one. So my tumbler has been sanded and prepped, and I'm just using universal white and those amazing CRYSTALAC brushes. Oops, my camera fell. From the CRYSTALAC company to apply that universal white. Because I'm going to be putting flippin' awesome paints over this, I really do want to make sure that I have good coverage, but several things changed in the process of making this cup. My original plan was just going to be ombre, do a beautiful ombre with my flippin' awesome paints, which you're about to see happen. The ombre does turn out super great. I use Green Garden and Totally Teal, and I have a couple of other ombre tutorials, but just let me run through this with you really quickly. As you can see, I just took that Green Garden and applied it, you know, a fairly decent layer of it here at the base of the cup, the bottom of the cup. And I'm just spinning the tumbler in my hand. I prefer to do this handheld method, not on a turner. Next, I grabbed that Totally Teal and bumped it up next to that Green Garden, and I'm using the exact same brush, and I just kind of maneuver my brush around, and you know, if some of the green ends up in the teal, it's okay. If some of the teal ends up in the green, it's okay. You just work it out until you are totally pleased with your ombre. If you're going to be using this as your base, like as in this being seen on your final product, then you'll definitely want to make sure you have 2-coat coverage. And that was my original plan. This was supposed to be showing, but the customer and I talked a little bit and came up with a different plan. So I end up covering this with glitter, and you will see that here in just a little bit. But again, just, you know, work with your ombre. Don't get impatient with it. Just be patient and work it until you are completely happy with it. You may have to do 2 coats, like I said, if you're going to just keep it showing as is. Otherwise, you can get away with 1 coat coverage since you'll be applying glitter like me. All right, so I'm going to be applying a pretty generous layer of Brite Tone to this tumbler because I would like to apply my glitter using the Brite Tone method. I have not been super successful at this ever, but I'm going for it one more time. I think using, you know, extra measure of Brite Tone, heavy layer here is going to be the trick. I know Lauren Quigley, she's kind of like the tumbler making queen. This is how she applies all of her glitter, well, Brite Tone method. So I've watched some of her videos, and she just does it really generous, and it seems to work great for her. So going for it. This will be the heaviest layer I use on this whole tumbler, but this will help, and the glitter will kind of absorb the Brite Tone and lay down how it's supposed to. I just want to make sure it's pretty even all over the tumbler. I also turned my heater off in my room for this application because I don't want it to start drying it out too soon. Just letting it spin for a little bit to kind of even my Brite Tone out. And then I've got these two glitters. This is just a bright lime green from Michaels, and then Blue Velvet from Makerflo. I'm going to be ombreing the best I can this whole tumbler with these two glitters. Go ahead and get started, and I'm just going to be starting with the green and just sprinkling it. I don't have to have heavy coverage on this. It's more of just a, it's going to be a Peekaboo tumbler, so more than anything, I just want to have some sparkle. Okay, so if you'll notice, as I'm sprinkling it, I'm using the little shaker holes. I'm not dumping this heavily on the tumbler. It is absorbing, or the Brite Tone is absorbing the glitter. So this means that my glitter, yeah, I'm just using the shaker holes as you can see there. The Brite Tone is absorbing it, therefore the glitter gets to lay flat. And you can see here that process actually happening. Here in a little bit, whenever I move into the teal, you can really see it. It's just a finer cut glitter, I believe, so it laid super, super flat. I did get a little bit heavy in a couple of places, and thank goodness there was a hefty coat of Brite Tone on there because it absorbed it. But right where my ombre meets up, I go back over the green here in just a little bit, and that's where you can tell that it had quit absorbing. And so I realize at this point I'm gonna have to do a level sand later on. I could have gotten away with no level sanding had I just let it all absorb and lay flat and not applied more green there in the center. I allowed that to dry for about 5 or 6 hours because it was a heavy layer, and then I moved into Brite Tone Layers, as you can see here. So sorry I forgot to show this, but I just got a layer of Brite Tone on here after doing a level sand. I just had a little bit of my fine glitter that was sticking up a little bit, so right through this area, so I did a level sand on the whole tumbler, and I'm so mad I sanded a little too hard and exposed my stainless, but that's okay because I have a plan. It will not show. So anyways, that's where I'm at on this one. Once my Brite Tone layers were all nice and smooth, I moved into my vinyl. I just, used my Oracal 651 temporary vinyl to apply here. Got all my decals on, the name, the horse, the stars, the horseshoes. Got those all stuck on, and my next step will be to spray paint this. Okay, so here I am out spray painting on a windy day, as you can see. I just used the Rust-Oleum 2x matte finish white. You obviously want good coverage, but be careful and try to avoid drips and runs. Okay, and now onto my favorite part. Once that spray paint was nice and dry for a couple of hours, I grabbed my Let's Resin inks and my isopropyl alcohol and my chip brush to do my favorite technique, which is wood grain. I used several colors here. This is coffee color that I'm using, and then I used maybe brown and a Tim Holtz ink just to get a good variety of color and some variation in the wood. I have a lot of tutorials on wood grain that if you're interested in, I recommend you going back and watching some of those. I definitely go a bit more into detail in the actual wood grain tumbler tutorials. So yeah, definitely go back and watch those. Something hugely important that I really want to stress here is once you get all your alcohol inks on and your clear coat spray sealer of Rust-Oleum 2x on here, you have to allow this to gas off for 48 hours before moving on to your Brite Tone layers. This is huge. After my wood grain alcohol inks had been dry for a while, I sealed the whole tumbler with Rust-Oleum 2 times clear coat. Allowed that to dry for about 30 minutes to an hour, and then came in to remove my vinyl, but I encountered some issues. It wasn't quite dry enough, so it was peeling the layer of alcohol inks from my spray paint, which is really bizarre. I had not had that happen before, but I believe it was just because of my dry time. Okay, so a few minutes ago, well, like 30 minutes or an hour ago, I started weeding, and obviously my paint wasn't dry enough, so it was peeling up just a little. I can fix that. I'm not even worried. Let's just hope that I've let it dry long enough. What is going on? Still doing it. It's kind of freaking me out a little bit. I've not ever really had that happen. And I have done a lot of wood grains. Okay, well, I'm just gonna keep going. Just have to correct it with a pen or something. Ooh, that looks really cool. I mentioned earlier that this was a custom order, and the girls' favorite colors are blues and greens, so thought that was really fun to do a peekaboo kind of ombre look here. Oh, I really hope the name does well. And the horse. Okay, so there are a couple of places that I need to fix. I don't have a brown paint pen. I have a great paint pen set, but it just does not have a good brown in it. I really don't want to get carried away fixing this, but I'm just using a brown Sharpie, just dabbing it really, really carefully on those light spots. Just being super careful not to get it on my glitter. And I do plan to spray seal this one more time because I want these, you know, corrections here to get sealed up. And hopefully they react okay with clear coat. Okay, so after I sealed this with Rust-Oleum 2 times clear, I now once again have to allow 48 hours of dry time before moving on. Okay, I believe that's it. I've got a couple of spots where my paint might have bled under a little, my spray paint, and I'm just scraping it really carefully with my Cricut hook. But I think this is so super cute. I love it. Can't wait to get all of its Brite Tone Layers on and hand it off. Okay, you guys, somehow I totally missed recording any of the Brite Tone Layers, but if you've seen me do it once, you've seen me do it a million times. You know, I believe I ended up putting about 12 or 14 layers of Brite Tone on here, and the shine is extremely shiny, but it's a very overcast day while I'm filming this, and you just aren't even getting to see the full effect. The glitter is really sparkly, doesn't really seem to show up here once again because it's a overcast day. But I hope that you were inspired and encouraged to try something like this. I did encounter a few issues, as you saw, with my weeding. You know, right there on the bottom, remember I had over sanded and exposed my stainless. No worries, it was all covered up by the spray paint and wood grain anyways. But again, I hope you were encouraged to give something like this a try. I really appreciate you watching. Be sure to like, subscribe, and comment. Let me hear from you. And as always, thanks so much for watching.